Hello everyone, welcome to today's course, that is Geography, India's location, size and strategic significance. In this series of lectures or the courses or the modules, whatever we call it for our convenience. So let us see how the geography of a country can place or give it an identity and global connection. In this case, we are taking India's geographic identity and global connection. Mainly, we would be emphasizing on the India's size, India's location, India's neighbors, India's important points to remember, especially like the latitudinal extent, longitudinal extent, or the time meridian or the standard meridian in India. What is the time that is considered the longitudinal one? And then we will also be looking at why India has gained that strategic importance over a period of time. So, by the end of this module, you will be able to explore India's physical placement on the globe and its immense scale, how its unique geography has historically positioned it as a bridge between the eastern and the western worlds. So, this is the broader objective. Along with this, you will be able to identify the absolute and relative location of India using latitudinal and longitudinal coordinates. Then you will be also able to analyze the impact of India's size on time zones and daylight duration of India. And you will also be able to evaluate the strategic importance of the Deccan Peninsula and Suez Canal in global trade. Not only this, we will also be able to recognize India's political boundaries and its relationship with the neighboring maritime and land based nations. So let's begin. Before we begin, let me quickly share my screen. Hi everyone, welcome to the module once again, India, the geography of influence. How India as a subcontinent was able to influence or shape its place or acquire a unique position because of its history and its influence. So, how can a geography of a country make it something unique and special? As you can see on the screen, this is the country that we are talking, India. So, India's location, India's position, India's latitudinal extent, India's longitudinal extent, all we are going to cover in one go. So, stay with me till the end of the module. So let us look at first the ancient civilizations achieving the multifaceted modern progress. Now, when we look at India's story is one of the enduring significance. Now, as one of the world's oldest civilizations, it has made a profound contributions to the world history. We have connections with the Indus Valley civilizations. And in the last 5 to 7 decades, it has shown remarkable progress in the fields of agriculture, industry, technology, banking, upon the foundation laid by its unique geography. Now, today, India holds a compelling position, being in the very dominant player with regards to trade, with regards to market space, in various other ways. So as we are not going to discuss further into the political and the other discussions or the historical aspects, now let us move to understand what is India's size and location in the scale of other countries. When we look at the India as the size or the area wise, the area of India is 3.28 million square kilometers is the total land mass that India has. Now this accounts to 2.4% of the total geographical area in the world. Now you might get doubt what is India's position across the other countries when we check. When we check with the other countries, it is India's place is 7th place. As you can see on the screen, the first largest country is the Russia. As you can see here, Russia with 17.1. Then we have Canada with 9.99. And then we also have USA with 9.8, just slightly lesser. Then we have China in the 4th place, followed by Brazil with 8.5. These all are in million square kilometers. Australia with 7.7 and India close to 3.3. To be precise, it is 3.28 square kilometers. Now, when we look at all these aspects, what do we understand? It is having a very dominant land area. As we can see, it is in the 7th place when it comes to the area wise. So the important aspect here is India's size is 7th largest country in the world. Now let us look at how is India very large. Now we learned that India is in the 7th largest country. Now it lies in which hemisphere? India lies in the northern hemisphere, just above the equator. Let me show you on the screen. As you can see here, the degrees of latitudinal and longitudinal extent. Lying in the entire northern hemisphere, where India has the young folded mountains here in the northern part, stretching towards till the east, and then we have a very deep tapering downwards into the south, in the north to south in the Indian Ocean. Now here it has around 30 degrees of variation close by, either in the longitudinal extent or in the latitudinal extent. And you can also see the distance between north point and the southern point is 3,214 kilometers, while from the west to east it is 2,933 kilometers. So this makes India a very large country. Now, not only this, when we look at the latitudes, India starts from 8 degrees 4 minutes north to 37 degrees 6 minutes north. This is the latitudinal extent. So as you can see, it is this location that is happening here. When we see 8 degrees, we can understand that 0 degrees is the equator. So it is very close to the equator. The southern part of India is very close to the equator when compared to the other parts of it. So the southern part is having very close contact or very closely nearby to the equator. And the one of the important latitudes which we consider as the 5 important latitudes, like equator, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, the Arctic Circle, Antarctic Circle. So one of that is the Tropic of Cancer, 23.5 degrees north, passes exactly in the central part of India, dividing India into 2 parts. Now below the tropic region has more the influence of equatorial climatic conditions. Above that, we have temperate climatic conditions. So then, as we move towards the longitudinal extent. The longitudinal extent here, it is 68.7 minutes east to 97.25 minutes east. 97 degrees 25 minutes east. I'm sorry for that. So India's location wise, it's very large. As it is large, as we see, India's subcontinent stretches nearly 30 degrees of latitude and longitudes. Lying in the northern hemisphere, India mainland is bounded by the Youngfold Mountains on the north and the Indian Ocean in the south. Moving ahead, before we proceed, let me quickly erase these drawings. Yeah, so let's go ahead. Now, let us see a 30-degree longitudinal expanse creates a 2-hour time difference from east to west. As you can see here, the time difference here from east, if it is 7 a.m., by the time it is west, it is 5 a.m. here. So from here to here, the time difference is 2 hours. So the distance between Arunachal Pradesh, the region here, to Gujarat region, there is a 2 hours of time difference. Now, why there is a 2 hours of time difference? Any guesses why we have 2 hours of time difference? The main thing here is it has 30 degrees of longitudes, which means it is starting with 67 degrees and going till 27 degrees, 97 degrees, I'm sorry. So starting with 27, 97 and 68 degrees, let me make a note of this one so that it reduces the confusion. Even I am getting confused. So I request even you to make a note if possible. So as we have seen, the starting point near Gujarat is 68 degrees 7 minutes. This is west or this is east, towards the eastern side. Now from here, it goes up to 97 degrees 25 minutes east. So when you subtract, you get 30 degrees of difference. Now, what is this 30 degree of difference that we have? The 30 degrees for Earth, when we measure, for every 1 degree, it takes 4 minutes to cross. For every 1 minute, it takes 4 minutes of time to cross from 1 degree to another degree. So here, as you can see, it is 30 degrees here. So 30 into 4 minutes, that is 120 minutes of time. Calculated in hours, it is 2 hours. So that is what we are talking here about, the 2 hours of difference. Now, is it practically possible for a country with one nation having such a huge variation of time difference? In order to avoid that confusion in the daily routines like the railway time or daily schedules, bank timings, or flight timings or any transaction timings, we have designed one standard uniform time zone. For that, they have taken the standard meridian of India exactly at half, that is 82 degrees 30 minutes east is considered as the Indian standard meridian, which crosses through Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh state. It is adopted as the standard for the entire country to avoid the confusion in our day-to-day life. So here we get to the clarity that India being a very large in areas and having differences of 2 hours, still we don't have different time zones that exist in some other countries, but in our country, in India, we don't have that. Why we don't have that? The reason for that is that we have taken a uniform standard meridian for us and adopted it as a strict timeline for the entire country to avoid any further confusions. Similarly, the latitudinal extent also influences the duration of the day and also the night. When it is becoming more pronounced as one move from south Kanyakumari towards the Kashmir region or north. When we are moving from here, as we go upwards, we can see the daytime variation also coming when you look predominantly in the latitudinal aspect. Areas closer to equator experience a larger daytime when compared to far away from the equator. Why we are taking only Jammu region? Because for India, the southern border is close to equator, while the northern border is the Jammu and Kashmir state region. Now, let's move ahead further. So far, we have discussed what is the longitudinal extent, what is India's standard meridian, and why there are no different time zones that we are having for India, in spite of being having a variation of 2 hours from Gujarat to Arunachal Pradesh when we compare. So now let's move ahead. So India has a strategic position. Now, when we say strategic position, we are talking about the position that India holds when it comes to here. This is India on the landmass. And when it is here, this side, it is close to Africa. It is close towards the eastern states. You can see Malaysia, you can see Australia, Singapore, you can see all the other Asian countries here, East Asian countries, Japan, and all these countries. And this via Saudi Arabia, towards we can go towards the European countries. Now, because India is exactly located at the central point, India's landmass extended in the Asian continent with a central location between East Asia and West Asia. The Deccan Peninsula protrudes directly into the Indian Ocean. When we say protrudes, it is going inside the Indian Ocean in the form of a triangular form, and India having a large coastline. See from here, from Gujarat till the Bengal region, we have a large coastline which justifies its dominance on the Indian Ocean. Let us understand this further deep. Now, India's location itself has given it a strategic importance because it maintains a steady contact through trade with all the countries through waterways. That is one way we can look at this one. Not only this, then how is India closely connected towards the other European countries? When you see the world's largest trading centers like London and Tokyo are also well connected through air, and a great change has come in 1869. As you can see, the opening of the Suez Canal. Before the Suez Canal was opened, the ships have to travel entire Africa. I am not able to show the depth of South Africa. From there, they have to come and then they have to reach India. But once it has opened in 1869, the Suez Canal, which has been dug here in this location, connecting the Atlantic via the Mediterranean, coming towards the Red Sea, and then making it its way towards the Arabian Sea and to the Indian Ocean, has significantly reduced 7,000 kilometers of distance. Yes, you heard it right. So that has made India provide a natural bridge, transoceanic routes. The transoceanic routes connect the European countries with the East Asian countries. So now, not only stopping here, It can also take them till Tokyo to the complete eastern region. And also it is being the strategic crossroad. So the geography allows for close contact with Asia, Africa, and Europe from the western coast to the eastern coast via Asia, covering towards the eastern side and having a dominant way of where all the ships, all the travel can have a halt in that middle place where we are at the crossroads from Africa, from Western Europe, and towards the East Asian region. So this also makes India a very dominant player in the location wise and also business wise, trade wise, and also strategically. And it has reduced a clear distance, that is of 7,000 kilometers. Instead of traveling entire African continent, they are able to move directly from here. See the global connections that have forged the land by sea, not only by the sea. Now that we have established the sea routes, we have seen the sea route which is coming from the Suez Canal, the blue lines that are showing the sea routes, but there are also land routes that existed from the mountainous region towards the western part to the Arabian Peninsula, and then from there towards the Central Asia. And while the ocean interactions are restricted for a very long time, because we were not aware of the sea routes until the 15th century, until Vasco da Gama discovered the sea route. Various passes, means the passes are the gaps that pass through across the mountains in the north, provided the ancient travelers with the passengers and passes come and they are exploring the culture of India. They brought their ideas. We shared our ideas and culture. There is a robust exchange of ideas, culture, foods, commodities, trade flourished centuries before the sea trade or maritime contacts were established. This is also known as the famous Silk Route in the world. Now, ancient crossroads in India, flowing from India, flowing to India. So there are two ways where we look at this one. So first, let us look at what is flowing from India. Let us see here. The ideas such as Ramayana, the stories of Panchatantra were flowing from India to other countries. The idea of zero, the decimal system, the knowledge of science, math has flown, and the spices, muslin, and other merchandise has flown from India to other countries. Is it only flowing from India? No, there is also the other way around. The art and the architecture from the Greek sculpture, the architecture of the domes, minarets from the West Asia, which are predominantly seen in our historical sites, can also be said that have flown into India. So some have flown from India to other countries, some have come from other countries to India. This facilitation has happened through land route and also via the maritime trade. So in this way, India is well connected both through land and also through waterways. Now, let's move to understand what is the neighboring number of states that India has. Because India has a large coastline that we have already established that one, and we have seen how dominant it is. Now, India having not only large coastline, see here, it starts from Gujarat until West Bengal. We have large coastline, but it also shares boundaries with the countries like Pakistan starting on the west. Then we have little border with Afghanistan. Then we have China. Then we have for Nepal. Then we have the Myanmar. Myanmar is here. Sorry. Here Myanmar. Then Bhutan here. Then landlocked here Bhutan. Then we have Bangladesh. Myanmar, this region also in Myanmar region. You can see the down part is the Myanmar region, which is low, very lowly, this small stretch is connected. And then we have Bangladesh. And in the waters, we have Sri Lanka and also Maldives are the island countries that are connected with us. So India has a strong geographical and historical links with its neighbors. The current political geography consists of 28 states and 8 union territories spread across, sharing its boundaries with nearly more than 7 countries, 7 to 8 countries, as we can see here. And not only this, this gives us a good land route connection and also water trade contacts, which made India to play a significant role, as we have seen in the previous case, putting India in a strategic position in South Asia. Now, coming to the land boundary, what all countries that share land boundary with us? Let us see. India has a land boundary of 15,200 kilometers, covering diverse set of neighbors. Frontiers that states share with Pakistan, that is Gujarat, Punjab, then Rajasthan, Jammu and Kashmir, and Ladakh states share boundary with Pakistan, whereas they also share boundary with China here. Common states you can identify. One is Ladakh, as you can see, that shares boundary with China and Pakistan, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh. Frontiers that share land boundary with Myanmar, as we have seen on the eastern side, the Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, and frontiers that share boundary with Bangladesh, West Bengal, Meghalaya, Assam, Tripura, Mizoram. Sri Lanka is separated from India with a very narrow strip, a narrow channel of sea, narrow gap of the sea, which is known as Park Strait, a very close distance of roughly 8 kilometers, that is also in the Gulf of Mannar region. So, this difference or this separation point is called as Park Strait. The Park Strait separates India and Sri Lanka with a minor distance of 18 kilometers roughly, subject to correction. So now let us see now the distinct geography that sets it apart, a strategic location that makes it at the nexus crucial for the global world dynamics, from its continent scale to commanding position in the Indian Ocean, to its ancient land routes, the diverse neighborhood. India's geography and its destiny makes it stand apart from the other countries, and from the especially from Asian countries, you can say. It still remains as a critical bridge between the world in the timeless crossroads of culture, commerce, and also the ideas. So this makes us to understand what are the key aspects that we have discussed. Now, let me quickly summarize it for you. What all we have discussed. We discussed about India's physical scale, the location, the size, the area, seventh largest country, 3.28 million square kilometers, 2.4% of the world area. Then we also discussed about the land route, 15,200 kilometers. India is at the northern borders, surrounded by young fold mountains. Now, I missed explaining about what is India's coastline length. It is 7,516.6 kilometers of coastline, including the Andaman and Nicobar and the Lakshadweep islands. Now, I would also like to help you understand few other words that we have used here. The word taper. What do you mean by taper? Below 22 degrees, the land narrows towards the Indian Ocean, creating a strategic maritime trade. So, towards the south, it is getting tapered, means downwards like this. So, that downwards sliding down is called tapering. And we also discussed about the longitudinal extent, 30 degrees, how 2 hours time difference is coming, why we don't have different time zones, and what makes India having a unique time zone, Indian Standard Time Zone. And then we also discussed how the opening of Suez Canal in 1869 has made a dominant change in the maritime trade, reducing 7,000 kilometers of distance. And we then move to discuss the different words that we used in this one. One is the mainland, the land, the primary land mass that was there stretched across India. Then folded mountains. What are folded mountains? The crustal folding means the earth get crushed, folding, resulting in high relief mountains known as Himalayas. Then we also discussed about Park Strait. What is a Park Strait? A narrow water passage connecting two large seas. Two large water bodies are connected with a narrow strip of the water passage that is called the strait. A narrow water passage connecting two large seas. Now you might get, where are the two large seas for us for Park Strait? On the western side we have Arabian Sea, on the eastern side we have Bay of Bengal, two large seas connected by a small stretch of water gap, that is the Park Strait we are talking about. Then there is also called Gulf of Mannar. What is a gulf? A deep inlet of the sea, almost surrounded by land with a narrow mouth. A small mouth of land with a wide opening, then that is called as a bay. A gulf with a narrow opening and deep inlet into the sea, is surrounded by land on all sides, like the Gulf of Mannar, Gulf of Kutch. These are the things. Then we also discussed about the time lag. What is there? The areas which we did not stretch further in detail is the discussion about the islands. So we can see the islands are in two different categories. As we saw, the western part in the Arabian Sea of India. Let me quickly share the screen. Let me find if we can show you. Yes. As you can see here, on the western part, this part is the region where we have the Lakshadweep Islands. Let me get my pen. Yes. In this location, we have the Lakshadweep Islands, and these small dots which are being shown are the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So this region is also part of our country. There are many islands which are part of Andaman and Nicobar group. They are roughly more than 250. The number keeps changing because the land, there are very small islands. Sometimes they go under the water, so sometimes it is not visible for us. So the most important areas here to understand is, one, what is the strategic location of India? Why India has a global position? Let us say it in ancient period or in the modern period, due to its location in the southeast region. Then why India has 2 hours of time difference? Why do we need a standard meridian? And how does the two island groups of what are the two island groups of India and their respective sea locations? If you are able to answer these areas after going through the module, I think you are in the right track. So wishing you all the very best. We'll connect with you soon in the coming section, as this is a series of India's location, size, physical features, climate. So we'll be coming up very soon with the next module. Until then, keep learning, keep smiling. Thank you.